rhinestone guy. Been a client of yours for about 4 or 5 years now. And I always wanted to get into embroidery. I wanted to capture a video on you, what the 5 biggest mistakes are to avoid when you get into embroidery. Like all these other companies I've seen open the doors, a year later, they're closed. Literally. I think it's a great market. There's a great niche in that. Everybody needs it. Like they need rhinestones. So, what are the 5 biggest mistakes? Is it, in the equipment that you're buying?
There's a lot of things to cover. There's a lot of ground to cover. That's a loaded question that could go on for a long time. But I think the number one thing to remember is that embroidery is a commodity. There's a lot of people offering it. Everybody knows what it is. It's going to be here. It's not going to go away. But there's a lot of choices. So, the old saying was, if you look at the yellow pages in any major city, any decent-sized city, I could find, like New York, Chicago, Toronto, a large city like that, you could find 150 to 200 people within an hour radius of the city center. If you're in a smaller city, population of, let's say, 40,000 or so, you're still going to find 12, 15 people offering embroidery. What you say is very true, because when you look at the statistic, I would say, and I've mentioned it before in other videos, we're probably the only ones who have a survey of more than 3,400 embroidery businesses. Usually when the magazines do a survey, it's 250 people respond, or it's like a joke. And I've seen many in the top 50 listings, top 50 volume decorator reports. It's a joke because I physically know, I've been there physically on site, those people aren't even close to the volume that they state. I don't know how it's verified. And then I know other customers who have never ever put themselves on a list. Just sneezing in the background. Hey, we're at a public place, it's a public pool, right? So wait till the kids start jumping in the background. So I've been to many clients who are legit, really big players, and they would never go on such a list at all, because they don't need to go on a list. It's not a legal thing. But there's approximately at any given time 15 to 17,000 embroidery businesses conducting some form of business, and that's anything from the mom and pop starting in the basement, in the garage, in the attic, all the way up to the bigger players that have been around for years. But 80% are going to be under 60 heads of embroidery for sure. Probably 60% are going to be 2 heads, 4 heads, and less. It's a big number. And the problem is that people don't commit full-time. They can't commit full-time. People don't have any form of pricing structure. They don't have any system to justify why they charge what they charge. The market is used to having a secretary make 2 hours of phone calls to get the cheapest quote, and they save 50 cents or $7.50 on an order of 48 pieces. It's not worth the effort. And then the small people can't do any production of any kind. They have to outsource it. So now they're the middleman, which gets rid of the margin again, so it's not profitable. It's difficult to be great in an average market where there's tons of people dumping their product there. So if you understand embroidery, stitch count takes time. So the more stitches that are involved, the more time it's going to take to make. And 80% at least of the entire market is doing left chest embroidery, left sleeve embroidery kind of thing. And at $2.50, and it's somewhere from 4,000 to 7,000 stitches. So there's no way that when you do that kind of embroidery, you can actually be profitable. So you can end the interview saying, get out, run. It's a terrible business to be in. And anybody who's been in the business for a long period of time can verify that. It's very tough, because if something takes you 15 minutes to sew, 20 minutes to sew, and you're going to get $2.50 for it, and you have 4 or 6 heads, that means you're going to get 4 turns per hour, or 6 turns, I'm sorry, you're going to get 4 turns per hour on a 4-head, 4 turns per hour on a 6-head. So it's 24 times $2.50. It's nothing to write home about. A business needs to earn more than $100, $150 an hour to be open. Now, you're a small independent guy with 1 part full-time employee, 2, what do you have?
1 full-time employee.
So, if you had virtually no overhead and you made $50 an hour, and you made it for every hour that you were open from 9 to 5, that would be okay. small business, you're doing everything. You're getting the order, you're ordering the garment, you're counting the pieces they come in, you're organizing it, you're making in your case, the rhinestone, or you're making the embroidery on the garment, you're cleaning the garment, you're repackaging it, and you're dealing with the UPS and the invoicing. So all those things have a cost, and what people forget is that if you don't have a minimum charge, a minimum set fee, and you're in the business of doing onesie and twosie, you are a bankruptcy or a failure waiting to happen in an embroidery business, because there's an inherent cost to do all the things I just listed, and if you don't have a minimum charge, you're underwater. And we forgot that we didn't even digitize or send it out to get digitized, and there's a cost to that. So what are you going to charge for one piece? Like, is somebody going to pay $45? Because you're going to spend, dealing with small orders under 12 pieces, you're going to spend 50, well, you all day long. You deal with 24, 36, 48. What's sort of an average order size for you?
It all ranges. It could be from 12 pieces up to 150 pieces.
Okay, and how much time on average would you say you spend talking to a person with regards to an order?
That you spend a lot of time sometimes.
Sometimes half an hour, sometimes 15 minutes, sometimes a
whole hour.
Spread over multiple phone calls.
Correct.
One phone call. So who's going to pay you for that, right? That's number one. And when you do a small onesie-twosie, it's the tendency is that there's more conversation for a small order than there is for a large order. So if you talk to a business person who's placing orders, and they're giving you volumes, 144 or 72, and they're repeating, then they have less and less conversation business to business. But when you deal with retail and you do special custom orders, who's going to pay you for that half an hour, 45 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour of conversation? Right there, you need to charge for that. That's one thing. So if people don't do that, that's one of the big mistakes. They're completely charging wrong. And I would rather, as a business person, if I opened up in your town or Butte, Montana, or any place in the world, I would have a minimum charge. And I would let go of those small orders and choke my competitor with all that garbage type of order, with all those long conversations, and they never make any money. They'll disappear. If you have a set price, if you do one, if somebody wants to do, remember, my business started with embossing, I'd get people who say they want to do, initials on a Bible or a bar mitzvah, whatever the book is called, right? So I would say that's great, but the minimum order is $250. Whoa, you're crazy. No, I'm not crazy. I don't want your order if it's not going to be worth my time because of all the invoicing, conversation setup, artwork, all that stuff. So back to what I was saying is, at least have a minimum setup and a minimum artwork charge, and never make it less than $150. Don't take the business if you can't make $150, because it's better to watch an hour of Oprah and not lose money than spend 3 hours and lose money. And people will get trained, and you will get better quality customers. But some people, not to be offensive in any way, but I'll just say it like it is. I always joke the full-time postal worker is a part-time embroiderer, thinks that when he gets $50 in his jeans that it's decent work. But people forget, and I mean, it's countless times, rhinestone, and it's always the embroidery and the screen printers calling us for our equipment because we're unique. But countless times, I find out that those people, I lost my train of thought. I had a point to make. Those people will not have a minimum charge, and they will instantly take an order and lose money right off the bat. There's no way of recovering from it, and they're not honest. That's what I wanted to say. They're not honest with calculating the time that's involved. So I have the spreadsheet. If you contact us, we can email you, and it basically is the second you talk to a person, there's all the steps that take place in an order. I mentioned, you got to take the order, you got to order a shirt, get the deposit, do the invoice, get the paperwork back, get the artwork done, get the artwork sent, approved, all those things. So if you would take that sheet, and for 1 week, every time you did something, that's a loud bird.
That's a loud bird. Very. He should be on.
So he's like competing with me. He's getting more aggressive, right? So if you would do that for a week, you'd be shocked, and you would see, and I mentioned a second ago, I can't tell you how many times, countless times, people have been working till 2, 3 in the morning dealing with an order, and the spouse is going, hey, what kind of business is this? Like, you're not even coming to bed with me to watch 60 Minutes anymore. You're coming to bed at 2, 3 in the morning, you're exhausted, and you got to get the kids going. That's not, or another classic business was, I have 4 employees. Oh, really? He says, yeah, I have my mother who works for free. My father's retired. He works for free. My sister comes in from 9 to 2:30. I don't really pay her. I just give her a little bit of cash money here and there. And I have myself full-time when my husband comes home for it. So she's got 5 employees, of which none are on the payroll. That's not a business that you can sell. That's not a business that's viable. It's not a real business. So if you don't create an entity, a business that has a minimum hourly revenue, and you don't have a minimum setup fee, your business is doomed. You'll be very lucky. Okay? Some people can get it to go, but the minute that they have to get out of the house because they can't deal with the boxes and the volume and that stuff, then they go into an industrial complex, retail, whatever. Nothing works because the prices weren't adjusted for a retail environment. And you just got a building and you notice that all of a sudden, whether you get out of bed or not, there's a bill there.
There's always a bill there.
The phone is more expensive at the unit. The internet is more expensive at the industrial unit. The hydro is more expensive than in the industrial unit. And there's a price just to have the key.
Yeah.
Whether you open the key or not, that's a flat rate cost that's going to occur, and there's more pressure than before. So it's nice to get the business out of the house so you get your mental state back and you have a place where you can recover and relax and have a life and have the business life. Versus at the home, you always felt obligated to work because you're always near your office, right? But all of a sudden, you have to generate more income. So number one thing you have to do is you have to set a minimum price for any kind of job, and you need to have the discipline to say no thank you and don't take the job, because by not taking that job, you will free yourself up to have more time to get better quality jobs. But it's very tough for a lot of people to make that change and that difference.
It is.
By the way, I'm a Canadian. I'm melting.
Yeah, I bet you are.
You better ask your questions fast. I'm not going to last.
Okay. Well, we started off with equipment, but we never got an answer on equipment.
So, I say things, and they may be a little bit cliche to me because I've said it for so many years, but it's proven time and again. I can't tell you, of all the trade shows I've done around the world, people go in and they go, oh, it must be good because everybody's doing that. That's the sheep syndrome. It's too late. If everybody's doing it, it's too late.
That's what I was going to say. I've been to a bunch of shows in the last couple of years, different conventions throughout the state. It's easier for me to go throughout the state because I could drive instead of fly. And I've seen many different companies with many different machineries. They all look alike.
Yeah. They
all make the same noise when they're running. But everybody says theirs is better.
Well, would you agree that a German car is engineered different than a Japanese car, and a Japanese car is different engineered than an American car?
I do.
Okay. Would you agree that, for example, Hyundai has become an excellent product?
I do.
It used to be like a rust bucket in Canada. It lasted 2-3 years. Remember the old original Hondas, and Honda's a phenomenal product?
Yeah.
And so there's all levels and increments of equipment. You know, I have preferences based on what I've seen in those literally thousands of embroidery businesses. Like anything else, you get what you pay for. Stick when you can with the brand name, the biggest one. Understand that if you're going to get into the embroidery business and you're going to buy a single head, you're doomed from the get-go because you cannot make any volume with that machine. Because your business is predominantly going to be left chest embroidery. So the newest thing is that laser technology, you know, the one we sell. It's sort of, we didn't invent it, we reconfigured it and made a new invention from something that's being done. So instead of 180 grand, 200 grand, we have something that's in the 50 grand range. That changes the game. And you were looking at samples earlier, and it's on other channels on YouTube where we have it. You saw full front decoration. It was only running stitches.
Right.
So I have full front decoration that I can charge $7 to $9 for. But it's less stitches than a left chest embroidery. You know the one that said Timberlane with the
single
t-shirt
row,
on the sweatshirt?
yeah.
That's not even 2,000 stitches. So that means I can, instead of charging $250 for a left chest logo, which everybody and their uncle can do, I would be able to do a wholesale $7 to $9 decoration, and I would get 3 times the turnover, up to 4 times. So 4 times more than one left chest. So remember I did the example with the 4-head embroidery, getting 4 turns per hour? if I triple that, I'm getting 12 turns per hour. If I'm getting 12 turns per hour times the number of heads times $7 to $9 wholesale, 9 to 14 retail. So all of a sudden, I go from barely $65, $55 an hour. By the way, interesting fact, you know, we deal with a lot of different financial institutions, and now over the years we've got a lot of contacts for financing for the clients. Do you know that they're phoning me and asking me what to do with the bankruptcy embroidery machines? Because they say, hey, you're in the business, can you unload them? We don't know what to do with them. Other companies won't take them back. And I had conversations with several of them, and I determined, they told me, they said, you know what, we saw your video where you said you can make $45 to $55 an hour. I'm sweating, eh? Sorry. $45 to $55 an hour. They said, you're too generous. Our clients can't make $35 an hour with the small embroidery guys with an embroidery machine. So I'm optimistic, actually. Meanwhile, when you look at the video, you probably think I'm a big pessimist, the glasses always half empty. And meanwhile, the people who are dealing with the bankruptcies are saying, man, you're too generous because these people can't make $35 an hour on those machines, right? So if you're going to do embroidery, wait and get the technology to do the more elaborate decoration, because it's better to get a used bankruptcy machine that's, you know, with a car, they say first one drives, first one pays, second one drives, third one repairs. You ever heard that?
Correct.
So with embroidery equipment, there's so much bankruptcy consistently. It's worse bankruptcy ratio than restaurants. And you said it on your own. I see them come and go and go. The fly or whatever. It's better to get a used embroidery machine and a laser, spend a little bit more. But man, if you're making $300 to $600 per hour, that means that you're busting your nut every day trying to make $35, $45, $55 an hour, and instead you could get an order for a school team or a logo for whatever, full chest instead of left chest, you know, and in 2.5 hours on a 1 or 2 head embroidery machine make more money than most embroidery people make all week. So that's the difference. And yes, it's a tougher nut to pay monthly. You know, you'll pay more for that, having that. But man, if you work a couple hours and you pay the whole month off, then you're not under pressure anymore. It's significantly easier for you.
Okay, my next one is on the marketing plan for that. I've been in business for, like I said, about 4 or 5 years now, and I still have issues on my marketing. You know, I haven't caught that glitch to throw me over the edge on my rhinestones. My best marketing right now is word of mouth.
You ask a loaded question, because I'm going to throw stuff back at you and I'll put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Because I've told you things, and don't feel bad, because it's nothing new. Here's the deal. I'm not professing to be some marketing genius. The only thing is that I've spent money learning how to market, because I didn't know how to market, because I needed tools. And when I went to these marketing courses, so much of it is very generic. So it's for a lawyer and a plumber and a dentist and a podiatrist and a restaurant. And so we give you all these great ideas, but you can only take 1 or 2 and apply them to our type of industry, okay? And the rest you got to let go through your filter, and you can't use it. So Commercio, commercio.com, www.commersio.com. That is a company that will help you specifically create a marketing program and put you on a program that you follow through. And you know how they say advice is as good as what you pay for? So maybe I didn't give you free advice, and you can use it. If you pay for it, you can use it. You have to do a number of things. You have to have a system, a tool, a function that you follow. Activity has to take place. So it's not just a matter of printing a postcard and sending it out. My philosophy is called top of mind. I don't know who made up that name. And the idea is that I'm in my customer's mental range once a month, at minimum once every 6 weeks, whether it's an email, a postcard, mailing of a sample, their birthday, an update, educational piece of information. And it's what's called residual marketing. So residual means that when you make the effort once, you can continue to use it, and you don't have to do it again because you made the first introduction, but every time you get a customer, you can give them that introduction. And it's as simple as making a draft email and copying it 6 times, and every time you get a new client, they get that draft email, okay? The first one. And then right when you have them, you take the draft number 2 and you put it in Outlook. There's that option just to delay send. So you delay send at 3 weeks or whatever, and automatically it does that. There's tools on the internet that do that for you. Aweber or something like that. Constant Contact is another one. But there's alternatives to that for smaller business. There's that website called Zoho, and they have some marketing tools and a database. Most of you guys don't have any kind of a database at all. You work off your accounting package, you work off Excel, and you work off Outlook. So you have no formal method to get in touch with people on a regular basis. So even if you get that web-based Zoho, which means that you can log in, you can import your clients into a database, and now when you go on the internet, you sign in, all your customers are there with the activity, and you can make an automatic email to go out to them. That's a very simple, cheap way to start. But we have that course at Commercio, and that's going somewhere out of town, spending the money, taking 2 days off, and going on a course that teaches you how to do that. I can't do that in a video, but that gives you the tools, it gives you the ideas. There's over like 400 low-cost, no-cost marketing things that you can do. When you read them, Alex, you're going to go, duh, it's like easy. And you know what my response is, right? Duh, why aren't you doing it?
Why aren't you doing it?
So anyways, the answer to the question of marketing is you have to create a funnel. The website's only purpose, unless you're a web shop, is to capture people's names so that they identify themselves to you so you can market to them until they buy, until they die, and they say, take me off your list, okay? But here's the rule. You can only grow your business 3 ways. Number 1 is you need new sales, right? You need to get new customers. You need to make an effort to get that. But it takes time, it's expensive, and it's just not so simple to do. But you have to do it because people move, they die, they leave, they close their business, they retire, they sell their business, they have a new relationship, whatever, okay? And so that's one thing. The second way to grow your business is to go to your existing clients and offer them something that they haven't had, or offer it more frequently, okay? And the third thing is to increase the order size. So let's say you had a laser with embroidery. I would know Sally and Jack's birthday, and I would know their shirt size. I would know that Sally is the head buyer for the PTA of the school, and I would make her the Cougars hoodie sweatshirt with the laser embroidery, distressed applique that looks like Hollister or the Gap or American Eagle, and I would send it to her as a thank you with the order. The sweatshirt, what's a hoodie sweatshirt cost you these days?
They're going $10 to $15.
Okay, so you're gonna get an order for a few $100, and you're going to invest $15 in the decoration, because when you do the applique with the t-shirt, you're talking about 50 cents worth of material, 2,000 stitches, and you're talking about a digitizing process that takes 5 minutes or less with the software, and it's not that difficult. So now you stitch that out and you send it to her and you say, Sally, or whatever name I just picked, I just got new equipment and I'm learning how to use it, and I had your file here, so I made the logo. I thought it looks cool. I just want to say thank you. She's screwed if she wears it or gives it away. You know why? Because when somebody else sees, where'd you get that? And in the back, what's in the back label?
My logo.
Yeah. So it's impossible that you don't get at least a minimum order, and you say, you know what? Our minimum order is only 24 pieces. That's the least we can do. So now all of a sudden you have a $600 to $1,000 order. If you're going to tell me, oh, my customers can't spend that, you got the wrong customers. Let your competitor have their customers. Look, I don't want to say that they're losers or anything, but don't take those types of puny orders, because all you do is get busy and you don't get profitable. And you have a neighbor who's a printer or
screen printer.
Are they busy?
Yeah.
And are they profitable?
That
How many hours do they work?
Many hours.
Average embroidery business works 60 to 80 hours a week and can't take home $50,000 a year. It's a chronic problem. It's like a cancer in the embroidery industry. And single-handedly, our company wants to make that change and stop those problems. So don't start a business that has very little chance, or the odds are extremely against you to not make money. They can say whatever they want in a seminar about embroidery. You're never going to have anything but left chest, because nobody, you know, that the shows, what do they have in the center hall as showpieces? Beautiful designs of the contest, right?
Right.
Who's going to buy that? Who's going to pay for 150,000 stitch of a burger or a polar bear or whatever beautiful piece? It's a piece of art. But, you know, art only makes money when the artist is dead.
Right.
And it's an oil painting or something, right? Or a Warhol or whatever. But you can't make a living doing that. And if you wash one of those shirts, they're all going to get puckered because the stitch content is so brutally heavy, and it's such a brutally heavy decoration. It's not fun to wear anyways. So my point is that what you see shown on those displays is a joke. It's a piece of art for a contest. But that's not what anybody's making to make a living, because nobody will pay for it. It's screen printed 1,000 times before they'd ever embroider that, right?
True.
So a busy embroidery, a busy decorator doesn't mean they're a profitable decorator. There's a big difference. A big difference. So maybe, you know, get that email, let's get that sheet, and do that test for 1 week. And I've had people who make less than minimum wage.
And they're working 60, 80 hours a week.
And it's like, what happened? I've been doing this for 5 years, you know? And I'm the guy who says, man, it's better to shut down your business and get a job at Subway, because at least you're going to be home with your kids at 5 o'clock, and you're going to make more than what you're doing in this lousy business. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but it's again and again. If you need embroidery equipment, my opinion, sorry for my competitors, buy it used. It's like the housing market in Florida. There's so much inventory. There's so much inventory, and it's empty. You know, 25% of Florida, Nevada, and California, some statistic I read, is empty. And there's still more in foreclosure, right? So embroidery is the same. There's so much used equipment. You're just going to need to know where to find it. We can also help you with that, not a problem. That's not our core business. But we like to sell it with the laser or the deal. Okay?
One more question. What about pricing? How do I know how to create pricing on my products?
Okay, so what did I say before at the start of this? I said you have to have a minimum number, right? I want you to have a number in your head. So the best way to do it is take a number of an annual income and go backwards. So let's pick, I don't have a calculator that fast, you know, in the heat while it melting to do that.
Welcome to sunny Florida.
Yeah, there's not even like, there's water there and I can't drink it. Huh? So the number one thing is to pick a number you need to make per year. Pick 50, 60, 100,000. Be realistic, right? You're not going to go from making whatever, 25, 30,000 part-time to be 100,000 instantaneously, because you're going to have to put in the discipline. But let's just pick 50,000 just for math's sake. Then go backwards and try and have 4 weeks off. So out of 48 weeks, 40 hours a week, do the math. I'll probably get it done sort of in the video. Do the math and determine how many hours a week, what that equals per hour. And when you know what that is per hour, then break down what you need to make per week over and above that, because you're going to have at least, you have to have a minimum of 40% gross profit on anything you touch or do. If you don't do that, you are screwed and doomed and done and cooked and whatever you want to call it, okay? So whatever you touch, do, or make, you have to have a bare minimum of 40% gross profit. When you have 40% gross profit, then you know that this much is what I need for my salary. Now I also need this much to cover my overhead, and I need this much to grow. And when you have that number, we'll do an example for you, then you know what you need per week, and then you divide that into your 40 hours, and now you know what you need to be making per hour. Do that exercise for you, whatever your salary is going to be. We'll put one up as an example in the video, okay? And then that's where you have to start, and you have to take orders and have minimum charge and stay within that region. And you need to say no to the other things, because then you'll be free to find a better type of order, you know, a better quality customer. And then take a marketing seminar that's related to the industry so you have tools. Don't don't go take a generic one that's all about, you know, everything and it promises you everything, but start to read things that are helpful. And we have so many resources. And we've always done that with the customers. We guarantee that they're profitable in a period of time when they do the exercise. So, you know, you're guilty of not doing the things that you could have done marketing-wise because you don't have the discipline. Why? Because you get busy having to service customers because you got to pay the bills.
Very true.
And if you can make a small improvement, small steps to get out of that treadmill, you know, the hamster and the wheel, then all of a sudden you're like coasting because you work less. It's so ironic. Why do wealthy people always take lots of vacation? Why? Because they always find the time because they're generally less stressed because they're doing more profitable things per minute, per hour, per week than the person who's busy. Restaurant owners, 7 days a week practically, you know, unless they have the day off. And embroidery owners, they work too hard and they make too little unless they make a change. There's enough embroidery people and you don't lose anything. You'll lose the customers that suck anyways. You'll lose the customers that are a pain in the butt. But the ones who are business people you respect because you will get a new base that gives you more revenue, that gets a better quality decoration, that gets a bolder decoration, that gets a better product, better service because you're affording yourself the ability to give that to them rather than always being under the gun, always doing everything yesterday. Don't do anything rush without charging for it. Big mistake. Because then everybody will get everything rushed from you. You will eliminate the people who are disorganized. Your lack of disorganization shouldn't be my chaos. And if you want me to create chaos to get your shows done at the last minute, you should have a rule. And some of the people that I know, if you want something next day, it's 100% more. If you want something in 48 hours or less, it's 50% more. If you want it in 4 days, it's 25% more, and the average is 5 to 7 day turnover. And you create a terms and conditions. Remember my old joke, and you've heard it before. Why does the Big Mac taste equally bad everywhere I've ever eaten? No offense to McDonald's, sorry. Why? Because they have a formula, and everywhere you go, you got to make it the same way. And you need to make a set of rules and stick to them. And on your first order with the customer, you need to send in your terms and conditions and get it signed off. They can never come back and complain and say you didn't tell it to them. So when you put little, I call it McDonaldization, when you put little policies and procedures in place for your little business, it'll transform your business. Anybody you hire new, they get the binder which shows them the rules. Guess what? It's your baseball game. It's your rules. You're my baseball card, right? So when you set that up for your customers, there's no questioning, no anything. They all understand it. So get on the program, buddy.
And there's no complaining from them afterwards.
Why? Because they know what the rules were going in, correct?
Correct.
So they can't question, well, you didn't tell me. Well, you signed the thing. Well, I didn't read it, but you signed it. And you won't have that because it's a different quality customer when you have those set of rules because you're not doing everything rushed, everything last minute, or a guy who's disorganized, who's isn't going to pay you on time, and. You need to learn to say no. It's going to be the healthiest thing.
It's the hardest part.
It's not hard if you knew what you had to make per hour going backwards. So we'll have that. We'll send you that email as well.
It's that list, yeah.
Yeah, because then you know that you have to say no because you need to spend an extra hour to find a better client. You know. So I don't know if those were 5 things.
But they sounded good.
Was that helpful?
Very.
Okay.
I really appreciate your time.
I appreciate you asking me.
I think we should go have a beer and jump in that pool now.
Yeah. You know what that witch said? I'm melting. I'm melting. Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Rob.